Hey guys, so now that we have created conditions, let's also add them to some of our potions. And there is a couple of things I want to fix first. For example, our icons being too close together. And for that, what we need to do is open conditions box, widget, and in here, just right click on this horizontal box and let's replace it with wrap box. Let's make it a variable. And now you can change the alignment if you like. I'm just going to keep mine at the left side and I'm just going to change the inner slot padding to 5 so there is a bit of space between them. Okay, compile. Now in the graph, don't forget to just replace this one for the new one. Compile and save. And now if you were to play the game, I got nice space between them. Okay, another thing is, so this is a big one, so you know, play blueprint. If you click on the conditions component, you can see that we can edit our map of conditions here, and also the condition and stuff. And this can cause some bugs if we change it accidentally, and also if we keep adding stuff to the map of conditions inside the conditions component, this won't always update, and it will cause us a lot of trouble. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this conditions component, or again just open it from here. And in here, we're going to make this a private variable and make all of them private actually. So this one as well, condition and active condition. Compile and save. And now in the player blueprint, if you click on the conditions component, you can't edit them anymore. What we need to do though is, just in case, because it was giving me a bit of a trouble before, so just delete this and add it again. Conditions components, because there is a bit of stuff in the memory and I'm worried that map array won't work if we use it later. So just add it again, then compile it and select these targets and just connect it again. The conditions components. Compile and save. And now that's fixed, and inside the conditions component we're still going to need to access the map of array from somewhere else. So what we're going to do is create new function, and this one will be expose condition. It's going to take an input of condition, type condition enumerator, and it will have an output of the conditions info s, which will be condition info. And here simply all we have to do is get this map of conditions, find, we'll find this condition and we'll output this. Okay, and we can use it from anywhere else, even if this map of conditions is a private variable. So compile and save. And now to use it on the potions, it's going to be very easy since the hard system was actually creating this. So now we have to open our item info and in here create new variable. This one will be conditions. It will be type conditions enumerator. And let's make it an array so we can have more than one. And now move it just under stats. Okay, save it. And now in the player blueprint we have the function called useItem, which was before equip_item. But now here from the potion, when we're changing the stats, we can just get our conditions component and call that function, which I forgot what it is called. Let's check in an event graph. It's called create condition. So here we're just going to call create condition. Actually, there's going to be more than one condition, so let's do a function in some cases. So let's create a new function, and this will be create conditions. This will just need one input of the condition enumerator, which will be array, and it will be conditions. And what we need to do here is for each loop, going to get the stats conditions component and create condition. And the condition will be this array element. Okay, so it will add each condition on the item, and now back in the use item we can just connect it here after we change stats and conditions. We can break this item info open, and we got conditions here. Okay, and then connect it back to this, which goes to remove item. Compile and save. Now we can add it to one of our potions. So let's open the data table, and let's say I want to add to my health potion, I'm going to add health regeneration. So in the conditions I'm going to create new array element, health regeneration, and to my stamina potion I'm going to add the burning condition. Conditions, burning. Save it. Now we need to reload these items because it won't update when we change something in data table. So health potion, change it to something else, and stamina potion. And now if I drink this one, so stamina potion gives me burning, and health potion gives me regeneration. But as you can see, the icon doesn't update straight away, only when I close the inventory, and that is because we have a time dilation set, and if the time is not running, our icon is not creating or updating. Okay, it would eventually update because time dilation doesn't stop it completely, but it will take at least a minute or 10 or something. So in the, let's change that in the condition icon widget, and here in the event graph we basically setting this timer by event, and it runs 100 times per second, and only then we are creating the dynamic texture in the set radial bar %. Okay, so what we need to do is we're going to check here in the beginning if it's already created. So we're going to what is it, reference, this one, radial bar material reference, get it, right click, convert to validated get, and if it's valid, so if it's already created, we're just going to set the percentage of it. But if it's not valid, we're going to create it. Okay, compile and save. And now in the event graph we're also going to set it on the beginning, so it will create that material instead of waiting for this timer, and we're going to set it to 1, so full 100%. Compile and save. And now if you still had time dilation in the inventory, I know some of you don't, then it updates correctly, so it starts the timer at full, and then it starts counting down. Okay, and obviously at the moment we're not displaying it in the tooltip, so what we can do to change that is go to our tooltip widget, and in here in the event graph, so we're creating stats here with the custom event, then we create, so first one is base stats, then the regular stats. So after here, after completed, we'll remove this set row, and we're going to get the item info again, break it open, and then for each condition, so for each loop, we're going to create a widget. So create widget. So we want to display it in a similar widget as we have for stats or the description, but we can't create it here because we want to have it first of all after the stats, and second of all there can be multiple of them, so you don't know how many you would have to create, so we want to create it dynamically. Okay, But instead of using stats and changing all the variables and everything, we can just duplicate the stats. So Control and D. And this one will be this condition description underscore widget. Open it up. Let's see what we have here. Stat text. So in the graph, we don't need any of this. Can delete it. You can delete the stat value, max stat or base stat. Set stat text as well. And what we're going to do here is we're going to create instead different variables. So first one will be name. It will be text and then description, which will also be a text. They both need to be instance editable and expose on spawn. Compile and save. And right, what else? Let's set it first in our tooltip. So in the tooltip, in the graph, now we can set the widget here to condition description. We don't have description or name here because we only got conditions, but we have created new function. So from the player reference, we can get conditions component, and there we do have expose condition. We can also make it a pure function. So go back to close this condition component and make this a pure function. Compile and save. Now back in tooltip, we can just get the array element from here, and it will give us the condition info, which will break open, and we'll connect the name, which we need to do enum to string. So we'll do it before we actually send it to the condition, and description, we can just connect the description. Okay. Now we do have name set and description. What we can do is add it to grid. So it's the same grid panel that we're going to be using, and the row as well. So copy this, paste it, and asset will be this one. So after we create the stats, we'll create this. We'll need to do row plus plus, so it increases the row. And then we also need to, on completed, reset the row. So set row to 0. Okay, like we had before. And that seems to be everything. We compile this, we go to conditions description, and in here, this one won't be a stats text, this one will be description text. Condition, I'm going to name it condition desk for description text. Actually, it is a variable. We can leave it at rarity rich text. So I just want to add one more entry here because I want to have a name of the condition in bold, and then the rest of it will be in the regular font like we had before. Okay, so we do have a font still here as a regular one. We can copy it, open the data rich table, rarity rich table, and then in here we will add new row. This one we can just call bold. We'll paste this font, so right click and paste, and now I'm just going to change it to Roboto and bold. Okay, color we need to change as well to white. So I wanted to originally do the color that we have in each buff or debuff. We do have a color for that, and change the text, but then there's really only way to put them together is with rich text as a name of the buff and the description of the buff. And you can't create every single color here that you will be using for buffs, so we have to do it in white unless you want to do a lot of work. And then once we have the bold created and rarity rich text data table, we can close this. We can go to graph, and on construct we're just going to set this text. We're going to do append, connect it here, and now the first thing is going to be name, which needs to be in bold, so we'll add bold, same name as in the data table, bold, then connect the name, then add a pin. We'll do colon, space, and we close bold, so forward slash in the brackets, and then we just add the description. Okay, compile and save, and don't forget to connect it here as well. And now we're setting the text and description. We need to make sure that in our conditions component, in the map of conditions, I don't actually have any description, so this is basically going to describe what this buff does, or debuff. So I'm going to say it takes 5 HP or damage, 5 HP per second for 5 seconds. Okay. And in the regeneration, I'm going to say regenerates rates, how much was it? 10, I think. 10 HP per second for 6 seconds. Obviously it doesn't need to be 6 seconds or anything, that's just for testing, but you know, that's kind of what I was thinking for the description, what it needs to say. Can also put dots after them. Alright, so compile and save. We do have description now. So now if we were to play the game and just pick up some of these, you would have burning, which is in bold, and then takes 5 HP for 5 seconds. Okay, but for the regeneration, you can see that it doesn't fit, so it's not resizing correctly. What we can do is, in our conditions description, go to description, we can wrap this border, so select the border, let's wrap it with, just thinking, size box, let's do size box. And then on the size box, we can now set the minimum desired width and minimum desired height, and then size to content. Because if you don't do size to content, it can sometimes be too short, okay? It won't fit it won't fill the whole tooltip. So what we want to do is get the width of the tooltip, which I believe is 400, is this length of this, because we are setting it before. So we're going to set minimum desired width to 400 and maximum desired width to 400. So it will always be 400, okay, no matter what. And then the rest of it, like the height, can resize, okay, automatically. And now if you were to play the game, it would do this. So one more thing, on the text, on the rich text, search for auto and auto wrap text, and now in here you have something like this. But I don't like the fact that it's rounded a bit more than the other one, because it's got like 2 rows, so it doesn't look that good. So what we can do is, in our border, is it for the border? Yeah, for the border, we're just going to go to brush, outline settings, and then rounding type we will change from half height radius to fixed radius, and I'm going to do something like 6 here, okay, which will be always fixed radius, so it will always be the same. But now I want to change it for all of my other like descriptions or stats. So compile and save this, open the stats, and do the same thing on the border. Change the half height radius to fixed radius, and change it to 6. And we also need to change the description, which is created in tooltip already. So inside the tooltip, we do have this description. Just click on it, border. Remember, I didn't really set it properly to wrap text either. So it's kind of like awkward that you have to set it yourself. But what we're going to do is fix that. So you can just type in the whole description. So in the text, we're going to search for auto and do auto wrap text. We're going to select this border, right click and wrap it with size box. Now this size box will be minimum desired width will be 400 and maximum desired width will be 400, and it will be size auto. I think it actually automatically resizes now. Now what I want to test is on a health potion. I'm just going to do some description. Just going to be something long so we can see if that works. So restores health, blah blah blah. I'm just going to type in rubbish. Don't have to do this part. But now when we play the game, we pick up some items. We do have stats that are rounded a bit differently. We didn't round the description. But now you can see the health, the stats, and the description, and the buffs and debuffs are the same. You just need to make the rounding on the description different. So on the tooltip, on this border, rounded box, fixed radius, and I'm going to change it to 8 actually, because I don't think it's rounded enough. So 8, and then I'll change it on stats, border 8, and then on the condition description, which we just created, so also 8. Now compile and save, and now we should have a description and everything fixed correctly for potions. So we do have the same borders as we had before, and you got health regeneration, and it says everything that it needs to say. Okay, and there will be one more issue, and that will be now with the if we don't have a description. So I think I have some items that don't have a description, like iron axe. It will give you a little bit wrong padding, okay? Because now we added the size box. So in the tooltip, on this size box, on this border, sorry. So on the border, you got the visibility set by binding. Remove it from here. Select this size box, search for visibility, bind, and add this get visibility 0, so it will add it instead to that other one. Okay, so now it doesn't have a description, it's spaced out nicely and cool. And now we got all the stuff that we need to have in the description. What we can do is now create one more new buff, so we can see how it is done, like from start to end, you know. So what we need to do first is go to your blueprints, go to conditions. In here you have to create a new condition. Let's say that's going to be something like what we don't have, regenerate stamina, or let's do 45, so it's something different. 45. Let's save this here, and then we go to our items. On the stamina potion, I'm going to remove the stat because I don't want it to just give me stamina. I'd rather have a regeneration of stamina. I'm just going to delete it. I'm going to set it to 45. You now have a multiple condition, so you can have 2. You can have health regeneration, burning, 45. For now, I'm just going to do burning and 45, so you can see that we can add multiple ones, okay? Save it. Now reload the item. And now inside your conditions component, you need to create that condition in the map. So we're going to create a new one. So this is the problem, that we need a default as well. So back in the conditions enumerator, let's also create a default condition, so we can just keep creating it in a map array, and let's move it on the top, which sometimes screws up the order in the actual map array. So let's see, now in the conditions component, you can just keep adding ones because it will always be default. So we'll change the fortify, and in here we need to do fortify as a name. It will be, description will be fortifies player's armor of just 45 armor, fortifies armor by 40 for 5 minutes. Okay, compile and save. Duration will be 5 minutes is 300 seconds, and I don't have an icon yet, so I'll just do something like this, spawn point, and maybe purple like we have for our armor. Compile and save. And once you have created here, you just need to, inside the condition component, you have to set what it's actually going to do. So you got the set condition, and here we can just drag from fortify, and what we're going to do, modify stat as well. So we're going to modify this max stat, we can copy it, add it to the fortify, and just change armor. Remember, all of our stats that have one that are like single stats, like damage, armor, attack speed, and all of these, all of them are stored in the modify in the max stat, so you can just modify the max stat. And we also get this select node, and then we what are we going to do, modify by 40, I said, on true though, so on true we'll increase it by 40, and on false we do minus 40, because it needs to be opposite, it needs to go back to what it was, and it's the armor. Okay, and you can just set all the stats as well, and you can do multiple ones, because you can also change the stamina regeneration. So you do stats component, you change the stamina regeneration, so it would give you 2 different ones, okay, in one buff. So it would be one icon with 2 buffs, or if you want multiple buffs, you will change it in a data table, because here you can change, you can create multiple buffs, so potion can also give you 2 different ones. Okay, simple as that. And now we do have that created, so if you were to play the game, pick up your stamina potion, we do have health regeneration for some reason on it, burning and health regeneration. Alright, because in the data table, sorry, when you add something to condition, and I move the default one up to the top, here in data table it changes. So in the health potion now, I got default condition, so it needs to be health regeneration. On mana potion, I didn't have any, but on stamina, I need to move it down because it was meant to be fortify and burning. Save it, and I'll play the game. And now stamina, that's burning and regeneration. Okay, and when I click on it, I get 2 buffs, or buff and debuff, so 2 conditions. And I have just realized my fortify is not displaying correctly, even though it has all the values and stuff. So I think it might have something to do with the map of conditions being a struct and a map. So in the next one, I'll just do a quick video when we change this map, and we'll be using data table instead, because yeah, it's bugging out. Alright, so until the next one, bye.